Okay, welcome back to yet another inventory series. This is part 8. And today we're going to add some functionality to our UI. We're going to populate the slots with what we've actually got. And we're going to be able to click on one of the items in the left-hand panel and display information about it, and we're going to be able to do something with it. Okay, without further ado, let's get going. So last time we got to here, we did our layout, and we can now open our inventory quite nicely. Let me just expand the screen. Open and close it. But it does nothing. We don't have anything in here. And even if we did pick up some items, let's go over here. Tab, we still don't see anything because we haven't added the code to tell us to put anything in here. And that's what we're going to do now. So back into our main UI, into our event graph. I'm just going to bring up my reference one just to make sure I'm not telling you any lies. Okay, now I like to do this in functions just because it makes things a bit neater. You don't have to, you can put it all in one event if you like. But let's make it look neat and tidy to start with. First of all, let's get rid of what we don't need. We don't want pre-construct. We don't want tick. We're going to do this. Okay, so first of all, we're going to make a function. And the function is going to be called create inventory slot. Okay, compile it. And the very first thing we need to do in this function, we're going to get our slots container, which is where we're going to put our slots, and we're going to clear them. The reason we do this is if we just refresh the inventory and we have it open, all it's going to do then is run the same function again. So it will just add a continuous list, so it will give you a wrong impression of what you've got in your inventory. Clear it first, make it empty, start it again, and you have the correct information. So how do we get our slots in here? Well, remember when we did our game item, we wanted to get hold of our inventory. Well, we know it's on the player, so we say get player character, and we say get component by class. Remember, get the singular one, not the plural. And we choose our inventory component. And then from here, we drag off and we say get the content. So we get our array of everything that's in our inventory. And for that, we're going to say for each loop. Basically, what this does is it goes through every index in here and brings it out and lets us do something with it. Okay, so it's for each. So for each one, it gives us the option to do something with it, look at it, or do whatever we want. So we want to make the slots to fill up this box. So from the loop body, we're going to say create a widget. And the widget we're going to create is the inventory slot. It's asking us for an item. Remember when we made the inventory slot? I said to you, make sure you make this instant editable and exposed on spawn. That's what it does. It gives us the ability to populate that variable. We're going to get it from here. So basically what's going to happen is it's going to look through here. Okay, index 0, it's going to make a widget, tell us this is the information we've got in that slot, and then it will go to the next index until there are no more left. We're going to then drag in our slots container again, and we're going to say add child. So we're going to add this widget into this box. The return value from here goes to the contents. And just to do a reroute again of this, so all I'm doing is dragging out and pressing R. It gives us a reroute. Then I'm going to drag off and I'm going to say bind event. Now remember we made this on inventory slot click event dispatcher, and that's what we're going to bind to. So in other words, it's going to say when that button is clicked, it's basically like sending a tweet. So I've sent this tweet out into the universe. If you are subscribed to me, you will see it. And basically this is saying, I'm subscribed to you, I want to see it. I want something to happen. So we need an event. If we try and compile it now, it will give us an error because it needs something to bind it to. We can drag off here, go to where it says event dispatcher to create event. Now be careful with this in lower versions of Unreal. And I'll explain what would happen. Okay, so we're going to create matching event, and we're going to name that matching event on slot clicked. Clicked. Now in 5.6, it actually opens up the event graph and puts it in here. I've noticed in the past, in lower versions, it puts it in the function, and you'll keep trying to compile it and you'll keep getting an error. If that happens, just cut and paste it to your event graph. Okay? Or you can make the event, but it's better to get it to make it automatically, because then it will bring through any inputs, name them correctly, and it will all match up a lot nicer. So for that function, that's all we need to do. We're now going to make another function. So now event graph over here. We're going to make another function, and this function is going to be called clear text in info box. Now this one is relatively simple. In our info box, we have item name text, so we're going to drag that out. We have item description, we're going to drag that out. And we should have quantity text, we're going to drag that out. And we're going to have the use button. I'm going to rename that. We'll go back to designer. go to this button, and I'm going to call this use button, just so it gives it a meaningful name for us. And we're going to drag the use button out. So what we're basically going to do is we're just going to change the text. So when we first open the inventory, we haven't selected anything. It doesn't just show what we have here in the designer like we saw when we played the game just now. Okay. So we're just going to, first of all, we're going to say set text. And we're going to copy and paste this 2 more times. Okay, for quantity, we can have nothing there. For item description, we can have nothing there. But let's just give the player a little bit of feedback. For this one, we're just going to say no item selected. You can put what you like in there, please select item, or whatever you want. Okay, now for the use button, we're going to say set visibility. We're going to have it to hidden. Don't use collapse because that will change the look of your UI. Use hidden. Okay, so we're going to hide this use button when there's nothing in there. Okay, and we're going to make one more function. And this function actually does 2 things. So we're going to make and this one's actually quite a big function. So we're going to make this function, and this is called set text in info box. So basically, very similar to what we did before, but we're actually going to set the text. So because that's very similar to what we had before, these copy, join up here. So let's get these done straight away. Now where are we going to get the information from? We get the information from a variable called item data. Now we want to be able to feed this item data into here. So let's add an input. We can call it item. And it's going to be our item struct. Compile it. And we're going to get our item here. And this has got the F, so it's coming from the function here. We're going to break the structure. It shows a little bit of space. You're going to get item name. We're going to get item description, or maybe just called description. Called description. Okay, so item name. This is why I say it's good practice to actually name your variables nicely. So item name, going to go to item name. Item description is going to go to item description. Quantity text. Well, here we have quantity. So we can drag that out and drop it on there, and it makes this node for us, which converts the integer into a text field. We can, if you wanted it to have 0, 0 or whatever, you can do that, but I leave it set at default for now. It's up to you how you want to format that. That's the easy part of this done. Now, we're going to use it like that for now, and then later on we will add the extra part just to make some little tweaks to show you how you can make your UI a little bit more interesting. What we do need though is we need to bring in our use button. Remember, we hid it when we cleared it, so we're going to say set visibility. And we're going to say visible. So we can now see our button. Okay, so that should do for our 3 functions that we're going to make. Now let's implement them. So in our event graph, in our create inventory slots, we can drag that out, and our clear text info, we can drag that out. We're going to add those on here. And while we're here, we are going to add a custom event that we can call elsewhere. So we can drag off here and say custom, add a custom event, and we're going to say refresh inventory slots. Now the reason we make this is because we can't call event construct, but we can call this event that we've made ourselves. Okay. Now what we're going to do here on this one, the on-click event that came out of the binding of the slots. First of all, we're going to promote this to a variable, because it may be of use later. Then we're going to drag in our set info box. Remember, we've got the item here. Connect that item to there. And for now, that's all we're going to put in here. We will add more code later on, but for now we're just going to use this. So let's give it a test. So if I click on my inventory now, we've just got quantity, item information, no items selected, nothing in here to select because we haven't picked up anything. Click escape instead of tab, just so the tab does work. Okay, so let's go and pick up some items. So what we're going to get say here. Oh, let's pick up a donut. 1, 2, 3, let's say 4 donuts. 4 cans of drink. And we're going to hit our tab key, and now here we have it. Our donuts, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 cans of drink, and in a scrollable box, and 4 first aid kits. Now remember when we set up the inventory component, we did the basic add item. I said it just adds it to a list. It doesn't take into account whether these are stackable or not. So you can see your inventory would get filled very quickly, or if we didn't have a limit on it, and we didn't do the limit check, then this list would just be endless. Okay, let's see if it works when we click on it. Remember, we did that fine. So if I click on donut, here it does. It tells us what it is, a donut, how many there are, and then we've got our use button here, which we can't click on at the moment. I'm going to change that a little bit for hovers, but if we want it to be left there, it's up to you. Click on drink, it changes it. Click on first aid kit, it changes that as well, and back and forth. So this is all working beautifully. So let's see what time we got in a minute. Okay, we're on at 20 minutes. So let's just make this use button a little bit more interesting. Let's say when we click donut, instead of saying use, let's say we want it to say eat. If we click a can of drink, now will we drink it? So let's say drink. First aid kit, we could use the word use. So let's see how can we do that. Now, because of the way the inventory system is set up, it does make it a little complicated when it comes to differentiating between food and drink. We could have simplified it and had it as a separate category, but that can also then cause us other issues later down the road. So the way I've dealt with that is in our set text info box. Remember I said we're going to do some more work. We're going to move this out of the way and disconnect this. We're going to then make, okay, we're going to have to, yep, we're going to add a bit of code and we're going to have to make a variable. We have to make two variables. Okay, the text, yes. So let's get these variables made straight away. So the first variable we're going to do, we're going to add, and we're going to call this group to text. And it's going to be of type item group. And we're going to use a new variable type here. So we're going to change variable type here to a map. Now a map says, we're going to say take this item as key, and we're going to give us a value of whatever variable type. In this case we want a variable type text. And we're going to duplicate this, and we're going to call it consumable to text. The last bit, but this time it's going to be consumable type and text. Now we need to actually hard code these. There are ways of doing it without, but just for simplicity for this we're going to hard code them. Now the problem with having an enum as a key to a map can only have unique keys. So if it was an integer, you couldn't have two ones, it had to be 0, 1, 2, 3. So when we set these up, it can be a little bit awkward using an enum. If I click on plus, we're doing, let's do the first one. Let's do the group first. So if I click on plus, it says all. Okay, we don't want all, because if I try and add another one, it says we can't do it. So we need to choose one of the others first. So we're going to say consumable, and we're going to leave the text blank on this one. Then we're going to add the next one. You see it comes up as the first one in the thing. We're going to say weapon. And we're going to add another one. We're going to call this traceable. We're going to add another one, call it craftable, and I think that's all I've done for those. Again, you can do as many as you like. So in weapon, we're going to say equip. Placeable, we're going to say place. And craftable, we're going to say craft. Okay, and this is the text we're going to see on our button. Consumable we're going to leave blank, which is why we have this other one here. So let's go ahead and populate that. We add it. The first one comes up as NA, which is fine. So we're going to set food. Food we eat. Drink we can drink. And health we can use. Okay, and that's all we need for that. Make sure you compile it. So what we're going to do then is we're going to get our item data and bake struct, so we can copy that from here, paste it here. We're going to get from here our item group. We can go ahead and hide the unconnected pins. We're going to promote this to a local variable because we're going to need it elsewhere. So it's L item group, Before 5.6, it didn't have these little symbols saying that this is a local variable. So I got into the habit of putting L in front of local variables. So it's still a good habit to get into. So we're going to promote that there. And also from our item group, so move this out of the way quite a bit. From here, we're going to say, is this not, so exclamation mark, not equal enum consumable. So if it's not equal to consumable, we want to do something with it. We'll get a branch by holding down B and clicking. Then we're going to double check in our designer that I did make that a variable. I didn't make this a variable. So click on your button text here. We're going to call this button text. We'll make sure it's a variable, or else we're not going to be able to deal with it. Make sure you compile. So we're going to say, okay, this is true. It's not a consumable. So we're going to get our group text, and we're going to find. In a map, we can use a function called find, and we're going to use a local variable that we made. We're going to find this. Then we're going to drag in our button text. Again. And we're going to set the text remember to use this one off the true. We're going to set it to here, which is the variables we set up. So it's going to find the item group and it's going to use the correct text. Okay, so we're then going to connect that to our button visible. Let's deal with if it's not. Okay. So we're going to drag in our local item group again. We're going to say, is this equal? We're just doing a sanity check basically. Equal enum. The consumable. We're going to get these again. These two, we're going to copy and paste them. There. Okay, so here we're going to put a branch. Do that to there. From here, we're going to get consumable type. Remember, in our data assets, we set up whether it's a drink or food or whatever. And we're going to get our consumable type here. We're going to find this. Okay. And then we're going to copy these two nodes. Just Control C, Control V, or you can Control D to duplicate. Both work. Okay. And I just did another sanity check on here because I found that occasionally didn't find this. So from here we can do another branch. Make sure we find it. If it finds it, if not, it just leaves it to use. And then this goes back up to here. Okay, so that will change our button on whatever text we have. So let's go ahead and try this. Let's go ahead and pick up some of each of the items. Okay, so we have a few of each item in our inventory now. We can go ahead, hit tab. We have can of drink. We have first aid kits and donuts. This is still working as should be. So if I click on can of drink, it now says in the bottom here, drink. If I click on donut, it now says eat. If I click on first aid kit, it now says use. It just makes your UI a little bit more dynamic and a little bit more professional. I don't like the highlighting on that button, but if you do, that's up to you. But I'm going to go ahead and just quickly change that, and then we'll call it a day. Let's go to our designer here, go to this use button. Make sure you highlight the button. And the hover tint, I'm going to set to the same as a normal, I think. We'll set that hover tint to normal. And press tint, I don't mind a bit of tint, but let's not have it so dark. And that should deal with that. Have a quick test. I still can't find where I put my items. Tab. There you go, we've got a little bit darker tint. So we can actually see it's a button. It does do something. Okay, so at the moment we do click on drink, it doesn't do anything, it still stays in there. So in the next episode, we're going to look at how we can actually use items. And if we've also got time, we're going to look at making the items stackable. So if we have here, instead of 2 rows, you would get 1 row and it will say quantity 2. If it's a stackable item, if it's not a stackable item, then they will remain like this. It depends which items you have given as stackable or not stackable. So hopefully we'll get to that next episode. Thank you very much for joining me today. We'll call it a day for today. Please help me by liking, subscribing, sharing my videos. If you really appreciate what I do and you want to see more content, or you want to get earlier content and bonus content, don't hesitate to look at my Patreon. Or if you just want to buy me a coffee, go ahead and buy me a coffee. Every little is appreciated. All money will be spent on me having more time to do more tutorials in the future. Thank you. Bye.